Welcome to the Reality Check. August 21st, 2018. We'll go over many things. From last week to this week. And of course, the big stories of the day where we have the Manafort trial, the Cohen trial, which knocked the Manafort trial out, and many other stories, some of which are more important and should be held in those standards, but won't be, of course, because the media is, obviously the trials are big things, and I definitely need to check them out, but let me tell you, a lot of things going on. So, I'm going to start out with little Michael Conte's, his excessive campaign contributions. When the federal records show that the Clinton crime family had $84 million laundered, six-figure contributions through the Hillary Victory Fund, dozen Democrat state parties, the DNC, we all know the whole thing with Bernie Sanders, but it's okay. Don't worry about it, right? Nothing to see here. So now on to our news. News of the week. Right? News of the day. Obviously, the one thing about the Manafort trial, I guess we can go, that one's pretty simple. And interesting. For Manafort, it's like, guy got convicted today. He'll be in jail for the rest of his life. It's so weird they were saying about how much money this guy was making from doing all these foreign deals, and Trump was helping him, on and on and on, of course you heard. It was interesting, though, in the sense of the guy did this much, and then here at the trial, how the dude was always lying about how much money he made so he can actually get loans to actually pretend like he had money. So the guy was nothing of the success that the media portrayed him and made him out to be. So obviously he wasn't doing that many, not saying he wasn't trying to do illegal deals, but he wasn't doing that many great deals because he was, pretty much a failure in most of what he did. He was always lying and pretending that he did more than what he did. To make it seem like he was successful. So that was pretty interesting in that trial. But, I don't know. What else can we say about that? Not much, I guess. So that was a smaller trial. So we'll pretty much touch on Michael Cohen probably a little later. But, voter fraud, right? Virginia college student got 100 days in jail for registering dead voters. Nothing this year, right? I guess we can skip that one, right? No big deal. We had a governor of New York saying America was never that great. I mean, to be honest, it's amazing that he's really telling you the truth on what he and a lot of his friends believe. That is what they believe. They believe that America was never great. They believe that we hope, even though America's created more millionaires than any other country, don't let those facts get in the way. Still, yes, he's telling you what he believes. So I don't know why people are shocked about it, and let's see, ISIS killer caught in Sacramento, accused in Anbar Providence, 2014, entered the U.S. as an Iraqi refugee. But no need to check anybody's ID, right? And that'll be a big topic of the rest of the show as well. Illegal aliens, right? And the cause and the effect? No, not the cost. We're not even talking about the cause and the effect, right? Now, you have liberals in the beginning of the week when they didn't have these trials and stuff, complaining about everything Trump, and it's like one of those like the kids you have with the doll, and you're like, so show me where that record on low unemployment hurts you on this doll. Oh man. We had a Democrat Party suing Iran for stealing our 2018 campaign slogan, right? Death to America. I thought that was a funny one. I saw that one posted up. I liked that. Omarosa now, she's pretty much gone from the news. What comes out that her husband doesn't even pay his bills. Their house is going by the wayside. So maybe that's the extra, trying to get the bang for the buck. But I'm sure she's pissed because she is now a minor chess piece there. But it was funny, Piers Morgan said that Omarosa had offered him sex during the Celebrity Apprentice, saying that you know how it is, how much better it is for TV when there are couples and whatnot. And so here's a hero of the left, Omarosa, and she was telling Morgan after he said, "Are you kidding me?" and no to her, but he wasn't going to do that. She consistently called him gay. And then she would tell other people, "Hey, this guy is gay." So I don't understand. That's pretty offensive, right? Or not? To me, I would think that's pretty offensive. But nobody's called her on that. And, I guess. So it was National Tell a Joke Day. Was it last Thursday? So it was like one joke I had. And here it is. I need that little drum. So why do women like circus better than bars? Well, because clowns at the circus don't ask for your number. Here was an interesting story. Yeah, I know. Great joke. Here was an interesting story that I was reading a lot. It was almost a week ago, but obviously you won't see it in the headlines anymore. But there was a suspect in more than 80 overdoses in Connecticut. He didn't charge victims for the drug, authorities say. So it was just insanity. There was actually like a park in Connecticut. It was right around the New Haven Park area. And this guy was handing out synthetic marijuana, also known as K2, for free. And the first responders found dozens of people who had appeared to be overdosed. 25 overdoses occurred within a 3-hour span in the morning. There were 4 to 6 at a time. I mean, basically, these EMTs were coming out there, taking care of somebody who overdosed, and as they're walking back with one, here's another person. 71 overdose cases were reported last Wednesday. 71 people apparently overdosed, transported to local hospitals. I mean, and the number had climbed to as high as 80 by Thursday afternoon. So obviously, because some of the people might have got the drug that day, didn't do that, right? They didn't do it that day. 3 people have been arrested in connection with the case. They can't really say whether all 3 people or it was just one individual, which was directly responsible for the overdoses. And obviously their names weren't released because of ongoing investigation, but very interesting. I mean, just crazy just to see that and then hear like the EMT stories of literally getting called there and you are trying to help one person and here's another person, here's another person. I mean, it was insane. So we had the John Brennan was a big story this week about how his security clearance was pulled by President Trump, which I have no problem with. I mean, put aside the fact that John Brennan's a jackass. Put that aside. Put aside the fact that he voted communist, and this is even before he met Obama. Put that aside. Put aside the fact that he got caught spying on the government while he was in the government. Put all that aside. Now, one, he doesn't work with the government anymore. So, shouldn't have a security clearance. That's plain and simple. And I don't care, this person, none of them should have it. Boom, it costs the government money to have them, and it leaves more liability. As we talked the other week, it's like, when you have secrets, I mean, you have to keep them close to the vest. And the more and more people that you have to share the secret with, then when they're known to the public, how do you know who was the leaker? How do you know? There's so many people. You don't even know who has access to these secrets. That's why you minimize the number of people that have these clearances. So when secrets get exposed, when there are leakers, and we know there are a lot of them, it's pretty simple to see who it is, you know, or at least a lot easier. So John Brennan, this jackass, came out and said, this is part of a broader effort by Trump to suppress freedom of speech and punish critics. It should gravely worry all Americans, including intelligent professionals, about the cost of speaking out. My principles are worth far more than clearances. I will not relent. Like, firstly, what freedom of speech is being taken away? This guy got to babble, dribble, drool, and foam at the mouth on every weekend show. So if anything, he should thank Trump for him getting more TV time. That's number one. Number two is, you know, punish critics. Now, punish critics. No, we're punishing jackasses, see? A critic, okay, have some facts, say something, back it up. Don't call someone treason, traitorous, and this with no evidence. Oh, I think, oh, maybe. You know, all his words are coded like that. And here's a guy with inside information who would know, but he's saying, oh, maybe, because he knows what he's saying is bullshit. That's why he can't come out and say it. But remember, John Brennan and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama to that point, these are the same people that took security clearances away from, you know, some of the people that were like Chris Paronto that took part in Benghazi trying to save American lives. And they sure stripped their security clearances. And they told them not to speak freely. But where was the media on that, right? Not a word. Yeah, you know. Oh, just this week, 5 more Clinton emails containing classified material on our unsecured email server. That's okay, though. I hadn't seen all the pictures of Hillary laughing tonight saying I told you so. Told us so what? She's a criminal either way you look at it. Trump or no Trump, she's a criminal. I mean, that's not even debatable. If you're debating that, I mean, you might as well go back to kindergarten and try to learn how to walk, talk, and chew gum in the same month, much less at the same time. So now you have libs. NFL players are being bashed for using their First Amendment rights. You know, all I say is, you want to use your First Amendment rights? Use them on your own time. I mean, you imagine going to a movie or a concert and have to listen to the political drivel. And I'll say that nicely. I don't even care if I agree with somebody. When I'm paying money to go to the movies, to the show, football, and whatnot, baseball, basketball, hockey, anything, lacrosse, soccer, I don't care less about your political view. If I want to know about your political view, I'll go out of my way to find it. I'm here for a sporting event, which is not cheap, I tell you. I don't want to hear about your politics. I don't care, you know. If I knew that's what this was, if you wanted to have a political debate, you know, right? Here comes Dee Snider with this political debate, let's just say that. No, I want to hear his music. If that's what this is, then don't sell me concert tickets, sell me political tickets, and I won't buy them. Because I really don't care that much less. Especially when people are going to talk down to you because they're famous, like they have any more knowledge of this stuff than you. I'm sorry, it doesn't cut it. Just because you're a great athlete doesn't mean you're a great mind. And, you know, I mean, just like if you have a great mind, it doesn't mean you're a great athlete, right? So the things don't go hand in hand. Not saying that some aren't both. Some people are incredibly intelligent, but you know what? Just because you're a professor in a school doesn't make you intelligent either. And when I want to hear your stuff, and that's fine. There's a place for that, but it's not at the sporting events. That's the bottom line. Is the customers are there to watch it. We're not here to hear you babble about nonsense. You know. So we see from time to time, we see liberals with signs fighting for productive rights. You see it on some of their campaign slogans when they're up on stages or whatnot. You see all this stuff. You know, if you just landed in Earth, if you just came here, like you were from another planet, and you came down, like it's a Twilight Zone, you know, and you came down, and you would think it was a pro-life movement, right? They're fighting for reproductive rights because somebody's taking away your reproductive rights. But they're not. And, you're tricking people who are coming from other planets because they think when you're fighting for reproductive rights, you're pro-life. But you're not pro-life. You're anti-life. You're actually fighting for no reproductive rights for some people when they choose to have it. So that's just the wrong slogan, and I thought I'd be helpful and, talk it out. And if you guys, we can go back to John Brennan for a minute. If you didn't get enough of this clown, the guy worked daily intelligence briefer for Bill Clinton in '96, but no connection to the Clintons, right? This guy is biased it could be. He was the CIA station chief in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, when the Khobar Tower bombings killed 19 U.S. servicemen. This guy ignored all the terror concerns, and he stamped visas of hijackers in 9/11. Don't worry about it, right? He's a Muslim convert. Don't worry about it, right? He needs a security clearance. So based on the Governor Cuomo, America was never great again, James Wood was saying that Democrats, and I agree with this one, should adopt a new slogan, America sucks. That would fit in. So then we heard, of course, before all the big trials today, and it's funny because the news stories are bailing them out from the old ones. They had illegal alien arrested by ICE. All he was doing was trying to bring his wife to the hospital so she could give birth. Yeah, the guy was a murderer, wanted in Mexico, a murderer. That's what he was. Don't let that get in the way of a good story, right? Let the murderer go out in the streets. Hate speech. We hear about it all the time, right? Like Democrat Representative Alcee Hastings, he said, a crisis is if Trump falls in the Potomac River and can't swim. A catastrophe is if someone saves his blank. What happened to hate speech, my son? I don't know. So then we had the pedophiles, right? Big in the news with the church scandal from the other week. And we all know how ridiculous and disgusting this is. And here's the schmuck Pope Francis. I mean, he is the worst pope of all time. When this Schmendrick's not out talking about global warming and we should let everybody in here, but yet the Vatican, they're not setting up tents in there, right? They're not selling some of the artwork that could buy millions of people food. They're not doing any of that, So when this clown's not helping people, and when he's not babbling about global warming, it takes him like a week to come back with a statement. Forgiveness from the heart. And it's just the same old, oh yeah, he feels sorry for the victims. Not, here's what we're going to do to prevent this from happening. We're going to seek out the people who violated these kids, find out where they are, and first start out by getting them out of here, and then secondly, turn over any evidence or anything we have to the police to help prosecute these pedophiles. None of that at all from this fake pope. Not a pope, a dope. And here it is, this guy was an ex-bouncer, he's supposed to be a tough guy. Yeah, silent as a bird on this. Silent as a bird. Nothing on how they're going to cure the problem, slow it down even, any of these people. And they still never said, he's still not said, we're not going to protect these people, because this is not just the problem of the crime that happened. Any big organization, sure there could be pedophiles there, especially when you're around kids. But he has not even addressed the fact that they went out of their way to hide these people. They knowingly moved them away to keep them away from prosecution. And what else was going to happen? They were going to molest more kids. And that's what happened. And they aided and abetted. Nobody fired. Nobody helped. None of their arrests happening with the help of the church. That's the real crime here. Pope Francis should step down and let somebody else who wants to do the job and is capable of doing the job do the job because he is not qualified at all. And it's not about credentials, it's about actions. And his actions are pathetic, to say the least. It's just disgusting. What do we have? Florida, largest food stamp bust in history. $20 million. Now, how do we say this without the scrutiny coming down on us? Let's just say these were store owners, and they were all guys. And dozens of charges, food stamp fraud. We could read the names. But in this instance, 8 small convenience store owners, like I said, in South Florida, committed staggering amounts of fraud. It wasn't a short amount of time, too. These retailers created illegal benefit exchanges, systems, that defrauded the American taxpayer. So they basically no healthy foods. They pocketed millions in fees just for changing these food stamp, obviously, benefits into cash. So basically, you go in, maybe you have $200 in food stamps, say, I'll give you $100 in cash. Boom. Now, these guys had something else in common, too. They were from a certain religion. But don't worry about that, right? Nothing to see here. All you know is $20 million of taxpayer money down the drain. So there's been some new Seth Rich developments. Interesting. I mean, we all know, if you don't know, between the Vegas story is the big one to me, and Seth Rich. Those are two big, unfinished business stories, where it just doesn't make sense. There's a lot of them, some throughout the years, ex-CIA agents ending up dead in a trash can and somehow with suicide. Okay, that makes sense, right? But Seth Rich, right? They said it was a robbery, and yet none of the expensive stuff he had was stolen. So they said shots fired, what was it, about 4:19 in the morning. 6 officers responded to the shooting. And nobody was looking for any suspects, right? It's very interesting. I mean, a red flag to the investigation. You never heard about them talking out like a bull and be on the lookout, any of that stuff. There were multiple officers at the scene that had body cameras, yet you really don't see any pictures of anything that night. $600,000, right, of reward money up for grabs. And not really any tips at all. Or, I mean, you see cases where there's $1,000 and you get every slimery, slippery, whatever, come out of the woodwork to give up tips. Now, it was shady about which hospital Seth Rich went to that night, right? And then, when he arrived at the hospital, who was at the hospital? That's kind of the new thing that's been coming out today. You have some great work by some, I don't know if you want to say independent investigators, but the media community that you don't hear much, like Matt Couch. A lot of good investigation by him as to asking why, who was at the hospital the night that Seth Rich died. Now, he named some people. He actually gave them some days to name them themselves. Why haven't the body cams been released yet? I mean, there were 4 cops wearing them. You know, what did they steal? It was supposed to be a robbery of Seth Rich, right? What suspects did they mention? Did they get any descriptions? Right, man with the silver gun. Now, who knows what the story is? There's always conflicting reports of where he was that night. But it's just very interesting that the people that were at the hospital have said that they weren't. Now, Donna Brazil, she was pegged as being at the hospital. And so was the mayor of D.C. And really, I mean, the interesting part is this, you know, not a big deal, of course. Should they be at the hospital? Yeah, of course. It's their friend, it's somebody they work with, somebody they know. But these people were there pretty quickly. I mean, think about the time it was. After 4 a.m. in the morning, and they got there quick. Like, most people didn't even know. How did they know? Who told them so quick? And how do they know? It's just very interesting. And now they're denying they were at the hospital. So you have a lot of things that don't make sense. Now, in the Brazil case, you know, we know that she all of a sudden spilled some beans about Hillary cheating with the Bernie thing and whatnot, and Debbie Wasserwoman Schultz. And she had her book out, she spilled some beans and stuff, and you're like, is she going to tell some secrets? And then once that was done, the book was done. Now she's been really super quiet, like non-existent lately. Maybe somebody told her she better shut her mouth. Who knows? Very interesting, though. I don't know. Hopefully one day we get some more truth, but hopefully as things happen that we'll be getting better at this part. Now, pedophilia. We just got done talking about, obviously, the priests and stuff. You know, child sex trafficking is reaching epidemic levels, they say. And, you know, part of it is the normalization of pedophilia and the decline in morals, all of effect on the rise of child sex trafficking. You know, you could just see it in the way people act, the excuses that are being made. I mean, look, you've seen famous people, especially in Hollywood, and things that would be just disgusting, or you would say somebody was a lowlife, or if someone in your town did, the people in the town would beat this person down. Now it's like, oh, they make excuses for it. It's sad. It's a sad state that it's become that a lot of people normalize that, or love is love, or some excuses. You know, it's just disgusting and wrong. And one of the most damaging crimes that you can do, I mean, you're pretty much tricking somebody, and it's something they live with the rest of their life. You're tricking and then abusing. And it is, for a kid at that point, you've ruined not only their childhood, but probably beyond that, but there's no way they can be, if you've seen that, like, if you've had that done, there's no way they can be able to go back to being a kid. It is something that you can't undo. And unfortunately, with the normalization of pedophilia and the this, I don't know what the proper terminology of it is, but the sexual nature with younger kids that they have today, from these disgusting like little pageants they have and shows on TV. I mean, with little girls in dresses, like nobody's watching that to see the fat mom yap or trap. They're watching it to see little girls in dresses, these little fashion shows, or stuff like that. The normalization, and it's just ruining kids' lives. Like it's something a kid can't undo, and you've just ruined their childhood. Now you're making kids, when they're partaking in all this stuff, and then you got sickos trying to get at them, because half of the time you see these parents that do that to their kids, sexualize them at some young age. They don't care. They don't even pay attention to them half the time. And now here's your kid getting attacked by people. I'm not saying just like physically attacked, but the degenerates, the perverts, they're out there, and they're going to try to do what they can. And especially if you're not paying attention to your own kid, that gives them more of a chance. And you're making kids grow up a lot faster these days. It's just, childhood is one of the most exciting things. Like, you know how much fun you can have, and the world is a carefree place when you're a kid, until something like that happens. And now you've had to grow up and age much quicker. And it just has a really horrible effect on life for people. And we're opening up to more kids with this. Just not only the exploitation of youngers by having some of these sick shows that they have on, but just the fact of not even patrolling the border, where you let sex traffickers take them out of America or bring them into America. It's wrong, and not putting people in jail and keeping them there when they've done horrific crimes like that, So, off that topic, South Africa, right? You see what's going on there. They're pretty much calling for the killing and the stabbing of white people and take their land. And that's what they deserve. That's pretty much all what their leaders called out for. And who was there just last month? There was good old Barack Obama saying the South African leader inspires great hope. Yeah, he inspires great hope. And now, since they've taken a lot of white-owned farms, Obama's got his change finally. Inspiring hope and change. The gift that never stops giving. Barack Obama. Now, here's a fun fact. Not really fun at all, but according to the Texas Department of Safety, since June 1st, 2011, slightly over 7 years, illegals have committed 1,351 homicides, 7,156 sexual assaults, 9,938 weapons charges, 79,049 assaults, 18,685 burglaries, 79,900 drug charges. But, all you hear the excuses is, we've got white criminals here. Yeah, we do, and we have a lot of them, and that's why we don't need any more. So let's put a stop to that, right? We had the darling of the Democrat Party, Ocasio-Cortez, ban the press. And now I guess she's banned them from all future campaign events. Now, people are like, oh, we know the message she's spreading, socialism, and that's why this and that, she's banning the press. No, not at all. The real reason is she doesn't want any questions, and when the press is there, they'll ask her questions. And even the normal softball questions that, like with Israel, whoa, what do you mean about Occupy? Just the normal softball questions that most of the Dems, Hillary will hit the softball ones out of the park. She even strikes out on those because she just shows she has no idea what she's talking about, and she gets lost, so she can't even fake it. I mean, you see her interviews, just she doesn't know. I mean, ask her about global warming. She probably didn't know anything about it. Ask her about, the occupation of Palestine. She showed you she was clueless. And then she admitted, oh, I don't really know much. What you know, move on. Don't just start about, oh, I know this and that. Oh, well, I don't really know much of anything when somebody asks you a question. Well, I know this is that. Well, yeah, I don't really know that, but... And then we have just a reminder, as they're banning Alex Jones and other people now. Apple, one of the teams that was banning people, right? Remember how Apple did not want the information of Farouk and Malik? Remember the old San Bernardino couple there that, shot up the place? Apple refused to unlock Farouk's phone out of principle. And they went up and said they're not going to do it. All they were asked was to help. And they declined to help the FBI. But the next year, when Apple tripped over themselves to get information from Paul Manafort's iCloud, isn't that interesting? Now, me personally, if you're investigating a real crime, and what Manafort did was illegal, absolutely get that information from there. No problem with that. Same thing with the terrorists, right? No problem with that. Get that passed, especially in a case like that where there could have been bombs and stuff planted out. Apple should have been right there on the spot, getting that open, helping out, making sure anybody else who was a part of this terrorist team could be caught and whatnot. But Apple wanted to be on principle, wanted to say they were protecting people. And I understand that from the business sense, but if that's the case, then why did they give it up when it was Paul Manafort? And why don't they tell everybody they did? Why don't they say, well, we really don't believe those principles we stated. We don't believe them because we'll give it up when we want to. And just tell their customers so their customers know, honestly, hey, if they don't agree with me politically, I'm not going to be safe from Apple, right? Now, little Michael Cohen bleep over here. All I was reading, saying, which was funny, is, and we'll get to the whole Cohen thing a little bit, but how he's liberated now and he's going to tell the truth. I didn't know Jal made people liberated. Am I missing something? Now we know that, of course, sad news has come about. 20-year-old college student, Molly Tibbetts, her body was dumped in an Iowa cornfield. And it was an illegal immigrant charged with first-degree murder today. Now, he's being held on federal immigration detainer. He's been in the area from 4 to 7 years. But they actually used some surveillance footage to track them down, and they showed that, their footage showed that Tibbetts was jogging around an area near her hometown, and then they saw his car, and they basically got it all put together and whatnot. So now here it is, another girl, a victim to an illegal alien, just like Kate Steinle. Remember the people who would not say yes to Kate's law. Same people here who should be charged as accessories and are responsible. Another person who, if anything the government is supposed to do for you, not tax you to death, not change your diaper, not give you food, not give you health insurance, there is one major thing that makes societies successful, that governments do. And that is your safety and security. Without that, nothing else matters, right? If you're rich and somebody can just come and bop you on the head and take it all, or just say they own it and just claim it, it all means nothing. What are you working for? What are you living life for? It's just survival of the fittest then. You're going back to the Stone Ages almost. That's the most important thing that the government needs to do is security. And here you have people who, again, had a chance to secure us, at least try, and they didn't. Another young girl has to be killed at the expense. Now, not only do we lose somebody, families grieve and pay the consequence. Now the taxpayers have to foot the bill for this guy's defense. We're going to foot the bill for all the trial and whatnot. And we're going to foot the bill when this guy gets found guilty and he gets to live in a cushy jail for the rest of his life. Now, you got to be ready for some football, right? Huge rally held at Vikings US Bank Stadium. They were chanting Allahu Akbar. Oh, it wasn't a football rally. Muslims hold massive rally. Over 50,000 Muslims on the field, covering the whole field, chanting Allahu Akbar. Wonder what that was all about. So we all know e-cigarettes. We talked about last week how bad some of these things are for you. I see people with them, and it's just crazy. Popularity is growing worldwide. I mean, just vaping, right? Or vaping. The long-term health effects are unknown, obviously, because it's in the infancy, but we all know about the chemicals and stuff, and if those things malfunction, it's not like a cigarette. You get a bad one, the filter maybe doesn't work well, you smoke it, you're done. You could have a bad something in your e-cigarette that's not protecting you, and you don't know. For 6 months, some people are supposedly cleaning these things. Yeah, you know how that goes. The flavors, who knows who's making it, what they're putting in it. But they're saying that the chemicals that the vapors are exposed to can do damage, DNA damage. Just so many carcinogens in there. I don't know. I mean, there's not much else you could say about that. I mean, to each his own. If you want to do it, it's your business. 7-1 trial today. Or not even a trial, but we know about Iwan, right? So here's a guy I work for, a lot of Dems, and Debbie Wasserwoman Schultz. So he gets no jail time. He was sentenced to time served and 3 months of supervised release. No fine. He pleaded guilty to false statements on a loan application in July. Unbelievable. So he had told in court, he mentioned how many negative stories there were about him in the press. And he promises his second chance will not go to waste. He's been hit with unfounded allegations. It is unbelievable. This guy not only gave up as many secrets as probably Hillary Clinton did on the classified stuff, just having access to them, leaving them places, leaving computers around and whatnot. This guy stole the equipment from the government, our equipment, our money, stole it, resold it. Those things could have had secrets on them or not. We don't know because they've been sold. So you're assuming that there was nothing important on them. And even if you assume that, this guy still stole stuff, still resold it. And they say he paid his debt to society. He didn't pay anything. He didn't get the punishment he deserved on many accounts. Why shouldn't I steal computer equipment from the government? This guy made what? Millions of bucks probably. Not only selling secrets, but selling equipment. and no fine and no jail time for that at all. It is unbelievable, the unbalanced justice in this world. Crazy. Crazy, you know? He made millions from stolen equipment, but they say he suffered enough. Can I get the suffering myself? You know? This guy walks scot-free, pretty much bank fraud, and Manafort going to jail for the rest of his life for bank fraud. So then I was telling you before how we had the, of course, after the Cohen thing and whatnot, you have all these clowns. She was right all along. She told America this would happen if Trump was elected. She told the people Trump was a Putin stooge, and he couldn't win fair and square. Well, one, have you ever heard of Bernie Sanders? I mean, you know, to talk about people with no moral compass, to talk about Hillary Clinton being the beacon of truth. Like, I don't even care if Trump got locked up for everything they said. It still doesn't make Hillary Clinton a beacon of anything but bullshit, lies, deception, criminal organization, stealing. I mean, the list goes on. You know? She's got that Ponzi guy rolling over in his grave from jealousy for what she did. Okay. Michael Cohen, right? We got many thoughts on this. Firstly, we all know the guy's a criminal. He's a weasel. You know, that's besides the point. The guy's run many scams. He's a lawyer. What do you expect, right? Now, his lawyer, Lanny Davis, shady as could be. The Clinton op, we all know. And to hear Sean Hannity say anything bad about Lanny Davis, please, Sean Hannity. You had him on your show many a times. He was one of your buddies. Stop. You're part of the problem. You and Bill O'Reilly before you hang out with all these people that are just really against. If you believe what you believe, these people are against the country. Like the Bob Schmeckel, Geraldo Rivera, all these clowns. And you bring them on as friends, and this is what you get. Lanny Davis is scum. We all knew this before. Now, to think that Michael Cohen's a beacon of truth now, you're just embarrassing yourself. Here's a guy who got caught, and he got caught with his pants down. So that's why he's telling you what you want to hear. You're squeezing him, and that's why he's singing. He's not doing this for the country or not all of a sudden found this morality. He flipped because they had evidence on him. And him and his wife who signed the returns, his tax returns, were caught. They knew they were caught. So, I mean, she could have went to jail easily, so he had to do something. So let's say whatever and whatnot. And, you know, save your wife and let her move on with life. I mean, it's kind of like the Bernie Madoff scheme, right? You get caught with your pants down and let your kids and your wife try to go free because you already know you're done. I mean, and what Michael Cohen said here was he got busted for tax fraud. Now he's trying to say that he was instructed by Trump to pay, you know, chicks that Trump hooked up with. One has nothing to do with changing an election. That's embarrassing. If your vote depended on that, it just proves you shouldn't have a vote. I mean, seriously. One, everybody knew about this stuff. It wasn't like he was convincing anybody he didn't hook up with either of these chicks. Everybody knew Karen McDougal. Everybody knew Stormy Daniels, even before the election. Now, is his moral compass bad? Yeah, you could say Trump's moral compass is bad. But regardless of the point, he's not here for a moral compass. Now, of course, we want him to act good. But he's here because we want somebody who likes America and likes people in America. And that he does. And that's why he got elected. And a sham artist like Hillary Clinton, who doesn't like America and talks down to America and Americans, she didn't get elected. Now, this Lanny Davis wording of, well, if he got in trouble for it, he didn't get arrested for campaign finance violations. He might have pled to a deal saying, oh yeah, I did this. He's going to say whatever you want because he's going to get a much less sentence, and they're not going to go after his wife, who easily could have been arrested herself. So he's taking one for the team, as they say. And if he has to say a few things or whatever, embellish it, he doesn't care. It's better than him spending the rest of his life in jail and his wife being arrested. And they're not taking his ill-gotten gains away, I tell you that much, so she can live a great life. You know? I don't know. It's the same people in this country who'll believe this junk is the same people who stand all night in line for a gift, free gift, something for free, but they can't even stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, right? But those of you who are misinformed and still think that Obama was crystal clear, no, nothing. Firstly, all those people, when they got up in the stand, all they did was took the fifth. Why did they take the fifth? Because they knew anything they said, they would be exposed as liars and guilty of crimes. You saw it from Lois Lerner on down. These people always took the fifth. So don't tell me how there was no corruption and this and that. People are getting arrested now because they're not part of the swamp. So if they do commit a crime, they go to jail. And they should. I have no problem with that. But we see these scales of justice are not the same. Hillary Clinton, who, no question about it, she violated law, did not go to jail. How many times did she violate the law? Well, a lot more times than fingers and toes you have on your hands and feet. You know. So please stop saying Obama had zero scandals, blah, blah. Zero scandals, yeah. Zero scandals in what state? Because I know there were some here too, plane meetings and whatnot. So it's just ridiculous that people would say that. But still, that when you want to say no corruption, right? We know that Obama took money from Mickey Mouse, from Hitler. Those were people who donated to his campaign, and they willingly took the money. They went out of their way to take foreign money. Now, you do know in 2008, Obama's campaign got fined hundreds of thousands of dollars by the Federal Elections Commission for campaign violations. But don't worry about it, right? You didn't hear it on your local TV show. They didn't tell you. Nope. They weren't there for that news coverage. You know. So impeachment fears, no, sorry, not going to happen. And, you know, with the Cohen case, they're like, oh, he wants to talk to Mueller. Oh, Lanny Davis was talking about, he has information from Mueller. Do you think that Mueller would have let this guy get out of talking to him if he had the information? Mueller's already talked to him. And that's why they moved this case to a New York court, because it did not have what he needed. Otherwise, he would have kept it and could have been the hero by prosecution. And the reason why they put this on to the New York court is they know this was just like the Manafort one, just some whatever violations. Now, they kept Manafort because they thought maybe they can get him to flip and say something. They wanted to compose, as they say, but he didn't. Probably because, one, he has nothing, and two, it's just, you know, I don't know. I mean, that's probably it. He just doesn't have anything, so. And Cohen again, the tape of whatnot that was cut, you know, you heard that, they had that bombshell out of nothing. And this is the same thing again. Nobody in their right mind cares or believes to think that you're going to tell me it swayed the election because they paid two chicks. One, which was way before the election, I might add, but I like when they say Lanny Davis is the new Michael Avetti too. That makes me laugh, because Michael Avetti's a loser, and so is Lanny Davis. So, what else can you say about that? All you know is the media keeps on falling for the same stuff. They're just making fools of themselves. John Brennan, Marco Rubio did it back in the day. They fall for these same things, and they start running with the media, and because they think the media's on their side. John McShane's done it many a times. They just look like fools. The job of the media used to be to inform the public. And now, I know they don't like Trump. I get that. I didn't like Obama. But you can't just sit there and try to take anything, and just try to rip at it, and you're reaching too much. Eventually you fall over that cliff, and it's hard to get back up. And that's what's happened with the media. They are too far gone to get back. They have no credibility, most of them left. You're bashing the economy. It makes no sense. You're making excuses why it's so good and how come it wasn't for Obama, and then you lie about Obama's numbers and make it like he was, this great economical hawk. Like I said, once you fall off that cliff, it's just hard to get back, and that's unfortunately what the media has done today. They pretty much are reaching too much. Like I said, I know I disliked Obama, and he did a lot of bad things and stuff, but you gotta keep in perspective. You don't like a person, and you might not like some of the things you do, but there's a difference between that and everything's a crime, and everything's treason, and everything's this and that. Now, do I believe Obama should have been impeached? Absolutely. There were things he did, like giving the money to Iran, circumventing the government, the whole DACA thing, letting people in. Pretty much training people into America. That was just, basically going against our laws. He knew that. He wasn't going to get the votes passed. And when people are like, it's a do-nothing Congress, but there's a reason. There's a reason why the founding fathers pictured the government and worked it out to be this way. It's because they want to have checks and balances. Just because you want something or this person wants something doesn't mean everybody should fall in line. Like anything, that's why there's security, there's gaps, there's Senate, there's Congress, to make sure, wait, no, maybe it should be a little different, or maybe this, maybe that, and don't agree. So it's not a do-nothing Congress. It's, they don't agree, just like now. I could easily say they're do-nothing Congress. They don't agree with what Trump's doing. And we'll see when the next election comes up, because really, at the end of the day, it's what the people agree on, and if they agree with that or not. So we see how that works out. But like I said, the overreach in the government is, the press is crazy. Now, another one you got to think of, like today, and it's funny, we talked about the gap in justice, right? So Manafort criminal, yes. Cohen criminal, yes. Those two go to jail. Hillary's not in jail. Look at John Podesta. What's the difference between him and Manafort? They committed the same crime. And no jail time. What's the difference? We're holding people to different standards? So depending upon who you agree with in the government, it's different standards. It's a crime if you don't agree with the swamp or whatnot, which is crazy for Manafort, because he was just looking to probably make some money to pay off all his debts that he had. That's why he went to go work for Trump, to make some money. Really probably couldn't care less about the whole thing. And Now it's come back to haunt him tenfold. Well, you do the crime, you commit the time. That's fine and dandy, but it has to work both ways, and that's the problem we have today. It's not working both ways. It's you both committed the same thing, but yours is not a crime because I like you or you're on my side, and yours is a crime because I don't like you or you're not on my side, or you haven't given me information that I need to get somebody else, so you're a criminal. I don't know. That's this week's reality check. Have a safe and great week as always, and we'll have another exciting and up-to-the-minute informative show next week.